this is my family. And I'm so proud of them. And I love them all. And if it hadn't gone this way, yeah, I might have had a different family, but I love this one. And I wouldn't want any other family. There's lots of ways to make babies. There's only certain people that can love like I love.
Here we go.
Oh, you can ask me questions?
I'm going to be sitting off camera here.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I'm going to be talking to you,
Yes.
and then you can
Okay.
talk to me or talk to the camera, either way, however you feel comfortable.
Is my hair okay?
You look beautiful.
Oh.
You look amazing. Just introduce yourself. Tell everybody who you are.
Hi, good morning, or maybe that's the wrong word. My name is Pat Silva, and I am Lauren's mom, and I am here to tell you our life story.
Our life story.
I decided I wanted to be a mom probably when I was about 8 years old. I mean, that was kind of something I always wanted to do. My mom was always really involved in our lives, and she always seemed so happy doing that, that I thought, yeah, I want to do that too. So it was when I was a child.
So you grew up in the 1960s. You graduated in 1969, just like to put this in context.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, the feminist movement.
It was really very, very, it was happening at that time. And I was starting to see that there were so many strong women that, wanted to have things made better for themselves and for the daughters that we would eventually have.
So then tell me about how you met Dad.
Okay, so we met in high school. And
do you remember when you met him?
I do. He remembers an earlier time, which I don't remember, but I remember we were both in the same class, and so we started dating each other. He asked me to the junior prom. And then we both went to college, but I just went to 1 year of college, finished through that year, and decided that maybe college wasn't for me. And I ended up going to a school for dental assisting, and I ended up working. And then Dad and I married before his senior year of college.
Okay.
So we were actually married when he graduated from college.
Did you date the whole time that he was in
yes.
senior year, and then
all the way
until through when you got married?
Until we got married. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so did you want to have babies right away? Were you excited?
Yeah, I mean, we talked about it like couples back then did. I mean, they did. And so we talked about it, and we got married, and we actually never used any kind of birth control at all. So as time went on, we both, we're busy in our lives and enjoying each other, but we kind of, in the back of our minds, we kind of questioned, why I didn't get pregnant, and it wasn't until Dad actually went through grad school that we thought something's not right here, something's not working. So we ended up going to a specialist, which was my gynecologist. I didn't realize when I chose him that he also specialized in, reproductivity. I mean, it's hard for people today to realize that no one talked about that. I mean, I wouldn't even talk to my girlfriends about that.
That's interesting.
I mean, back then you just didn't.
Of course, yeah.
And so, so this doctor was like, let's run tests and see. And he, at that point, then told Dad and I that, Dad was not going to be able to father children, And I mean, people wouldn't even ask you, are you going to have children? Or, are you trying to have children, or anything like that? Or you wouldn't say to a girlfriend, well, we've been trying, but, you would never do that. And plus, Dad and I had moved from Massachusetts to Virginia, and I didn't really know anybody. I was just, it was just kind of him and I didn't, I didn't know any woman down there at all. Dad just assumed it was me from the start, and he said, you just need something's not going right. You just need to be checked and all that, which I went and checked. And according to the doctor, he's like, well, I don't see anything here, And then he said, well, it's time to, then check Dad, Mm-hmm.
And the results came back that Dad was that you were going to struggle to get pregnant as a result of Dad's.
Yeah, there would be little to no chance that I would ever get pregnant.
Okay.
So then we went home.
So then you went home. And how long, when did you find out that information versus how long did it take you to take the next step? Was it months, years, weeks?
No, it was a short period of time because we were home for just a little while, and the doctor's office then called me back and said to me, the doctor wants to sit down with you and your husband. He thinks he may have a plan, for you to move forward on, creating a family. And, I thought it was really, looking back on the way they spoke, I think it was very forward speaking of them because they talked positive. They talked like creating a family, like it was, the most natural thing in the world, So we went back. I really liked our doctor a lot. And he, said, we can do artificial insemination. We can do this. He had, candidates that could be donors and all of that. So then Dad and I went home and talked about it. And, Dad's like, I would rather have a child that's half of you than none of you. So, then I said, well, I want a child, I just want a child. It's really funny because I look back on that and I think I should have been more scared than I was. Because he said, there's no records kept. So he said, you could come back to me the next week and I would know who was your donor.
Wow.
So he said, there are no records kept whatsoever. He said, I have files on all these donors. So he had done the medical workup on all the donors, but they were numbers. He did not know them as names.
Yeah.
And he said, I would not know who your donor was. And
do you still have the donor number?
I do not.
Okay.
Yeah.
Some people kept that. Some people didn't.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know if I ever even saw it, to be honest with you.
I figured that. Did you get the sense when you were getting it done that it was an experimental treatment, or did he give you any context in how often he had done this or how many people were getting it done, anything like that? I'm just curious.
No, he said he had done it. Okay. But he never alluded to how many times he had done it. And when I talked to him one-on-one, he said, this may take 5, 6, 10 times, but he said, there's absolutely no reason why you should be any more concerned about this process than you would if you and your husband conceived naturally.
Right.
So I really trusted him. I did. And, UVA was a well-known medical facility at the time.
Yeah.
So I did trust all of that.
Yeah. And did he give you any sense of where the donors came from? Was he like, this is a pool of, XYZ?
He said these were all medical students.
Interesting.
All his donors were pulled from the medical school.
That checks out because I did a lot of research in my interviews and talked to doctors who were fertility doctors back then.
Right.
And some of them actually were medical students too at the time. And so it totally checks out that, they said that was where their pool of donors came from. It actually came from medical students.
And interesting thing, because when I sat down one-on-one with him, I said, why would they choose to do this? And he said, money. That's why they're doing it.
Interesting. So they got paid at the time too.
Yeah.
They were paid donors.
Yeah. They were paid donors. Yeah. And that was like, there wasn't any grandiose reason why they were doing it at the time. Yeah. And that might have changed now. Maybe there's a lot of donors who feel like they are contributing more to couples and that kind of thing. But back then, he said it was money. He told us to not tell anyone. He said, just, just go on about, because he said, no one will ever be able to research who the donor is. And so, to tell people that this is what's going on, no one could really research that. Prior to us doing this, we had a conversation, and I had promised Dad that we would go by not telling anyone. That was a commitment I made to our relationship. And some of that came obviously from what the doctor had said about doing that, so that was something that I had committed to.
So were there ever times that you wanted to tell us?
Yes. Always.
Oh, don't be sad. It's okay. You make me sad too.
I did, but because I felt like I wanted you to know that this is you, and this is us, I guess, more than anything too. That this is our family, and this is how we began, which is different than other people, but this is our family, And I also felt like the sooner I told you, the less impact it would have on you as an individual.
Right.
That it would become more part of you than obviously the way that you found out so much later in your life.
Yeah. So I have memories of a couple of times that, like, now I look back and I'm like, oh, I wonder if that's what Mom was thinking. Like, do you remember that time that we were sitting in Dallas at the restaurant and a woman came up to me and she was like, you look identical to my niece. You're the spitting image of my niece. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
And she sent me these photos.
Right.
And now I look back on that and I'm like, I wonder. And you were like, no. It's okay. It's okay. I wondered if it entered your mind at that time.
It did.
Yeah.
I mean, it did. There were hundreds of times that it entered my mind. It really and truly did. And there were lots of conversations with Dad. I mean, it's not like I just kept it to myself. I revisited this thing over and over again. But he never wanted to make a change on that.
And why do you think that is? Like, I know it's hard to articulate his feelings, and and I know he didn't want to talk about it, but why do you feel like he didn't want, and he still doesn't want to talk about it?
I wish I knew. I mean, I know some of it is insecurities. A lot of it is insecurity, insecurity in himself more than anything else, but I don't know. I wish I knew. I mean, he just, I think it has a lot more to do with himself than anything else.
Do you remember after Liam was born and they were asking us about his challenges, and I remember you said, I asked for the DNA, if you knew people who had cystic fibrosis in the family, and you said there's none on our side, but we can't remember about Dad. Did you think about telling me then? Yeah.
And that was another difficult conversation with Dad. I mean, that was a real struggle for me, particularly at that time, And that's why I said to you, no, have them run all the tests they can, because it was so unknown, and maybe I should have had more strength at that time to go against, what I had committed to, and just say that this is it, I'm doing it, but I didn't.
Let's fast forward to when Jen and I found out. Because it's now kind of a funny story.
It is. Like, it's kind of a funny story.
And Jen had a really great sense of humor about it, but how did you feel when that happened?
I actually broke down and cried, and it wasn't because I was sad. It was because I was relieved. I was like, this is my opportunity to follow through on what I felt needed to be done all along, And it was funny because Jen called me, and they had the
23andMe.
23andMe done on Jen's children.
Yeah.
And she said, Mom, I don't know how to ask you this, but why am I half Jewish? You know? And I was like, I paused and I'm like, let me tell you, you know, and to be honest with you, I cried because I was relieved. And I couldn't, I mean, I cried, well, for many days after that because I was releasing all this, you know, all this anxiety I had about not telling you,
Mm-hmm.
you know, not being truthful with you
Mm-hmm.
guys, you
Mm-hmm.
know. But yeah, it was then. But I mean, and I really have thought so much since then about how hard it must have been for you and Jen to find that out as late as you did, you know.
I kind of liked that I was part of an adventure.
Uh-huh.
You know, I mean, after I got through the initial shock of it, when I can look back at the decision that you and Dad made, and also understand how difficult it must have been for you to go through that alone, I was proud of you, and I felt like I was really part of something exciting.
Mm-hmm.
How do you feel now? I guess like now that I now that this is all out. Okay, Jen knows. I know. We've both done the DNA test. Now I'm starting this company. Dad, you know, you kept Dad's secret, but I'm not keeping Dad's secret. You know, this whole thing's going to be splayed out. I guess. How do you feel about it?
I feel wonderful. I feel wonderful. You know, this is my family, and I'm so proud of them, and I love them all. And if it hadn't gone this way, yeah, I might have had a different family, but I love this one, and I wouldn't want any other family. So I'm ecstatic about it, and I'm proud to tell everybody. And I hope our story helps other people, you know that, you know, there's lots of ways to make babies. There's only certain people that can love like I love.
Oh, that's so true. I love
You
it so
know,
much.
so
There's lots of, yeah, well said. There's lots of ways to make babies, but there's only one person who can love like you can love.
right.
Oh, I love that so much.
Mhm. Yeah, and I'm really very very happy about it. I'm thrilled, you know. And I mean, you know, I've talked to Dad a lot about it, and I think, you know, I mean, his anxiety is really with himself, you know, and he's got to get beyond that, you know. He's got
Well,
to get
maybe
beyond
someday
that.
we'll
Yeah,
see if he starts empowering, his story starts to empower
other
people.
people, right,
Yeah.
right.